Okay, so I think I only have like a couple more things to mention. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like it wraps nearly everything up.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm pretty excited about the bosses that are going to appear. So I want to mention the dungeons just real quick. So Minecraft, of course, has dungeons per se, but there's very few. There's like abandoned mine shafts. There's the default dungeons with like the one spawners and stuff like that. And maybe there's those dungeons in the end, but there's really not that much. But it looks like Hytale is going to have a lot of naturally spawning dungeons with things like traps and puzzles to solve and monster waves to defeat and giant bosses at the end. Like there's that giant spider at the bottom here. And also that fire beast that it shows. So I think that this will be an interesting improvement in a way, like add some more to explore in the world. I think this will be actually a big part of the story.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to have to overcome a lot of these dungeons. And I think it'll be interesting to be able to go through it like as a group and sort of like pick up our classes, like have different classes and sort of go in and try to use our wits to make it through these types of dungeons, you know? Anyway.
And that's also not to say without the fact that like we may be even be able to like monster hunt or some situations with like some like super insane bosses. Especially considering how there's probably going to be a difficulty level as well. So what's to say that we can't have like those kind of wild bosses to deal with?
Man, I wonder how difficulty is going to work. I wonder if it'll change the amount of the types of things that spawn rather than just the number.
More likely than not, it should. Hopefully it does.
I hope it does. That'll make things a lot more interesting. Okay, so one thing I want to mention to you, Tristan, since you know a little bit more about this than I do.
Yes.
So the way that this game is being funded, Hytale, is they wanted to avoid having to do something like pre-orders and Kickstarters and stuff like that, because they've seen like so many things fail that have just been like fan funded and stuff like that because they set too high goals and everything. And then they release too early because they want to satisfy the people who funded it. So they avoided that by actually getting funding from another investor, an outside investor. And for this game, the outside investor is Riot Games, which is the developer of League of Legends.
Oh, fucking...
Yeah. I'm wondering
but...
So does this affect your, like, thoughts on the game and your worries about it and stuff like that?
Alright, so... Here's my thing, okay? Mean that one a little bit, already knew that existed. My issue with Riot Games is that League of Legends is the worst game to ever be created on the entire face of the planet. Granted, this is an opinion. I was just go ahead and just be honest about this. It's an opinion. But especially in this case, it's the right opinion. So
it is correct.
To preface this, League of Legends is a garbage game. I believe that the way Riot has handled this was very smart in terms of a business practice, considering how, especially in this case, and especially the way League works, they do a really good job in terms of being able to introduce people to the game properly and being able to sell all their characters and all their skins the right way. Do I like the way they do it? Do I like the game? No. But I do understand the business behind it, and the business behind it is generally smart. I personally don't like the 10 free heroes a week kind of deal. I feel like there should be base heroes that should be immediately available regardless of whether or not you have that money. Because, I mean, I think, I'm not sure which heroes are the freest, but like you have like Ashe, Garen, Rise, and like 2 others, I believe, that are available right off the gate, and a couple other ones that are pretty cheap, but after that, the rest require essentially a week or $10. You know? And in a roster of champions that is more than, say, for example, Smash Brothers. Granted, the game is more nuanced. That hurt me to say. That hurt me to say a lot. Granted, the game is a bit more nuanced.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that even if I don't like League.
It doesn't change the fact that, like, it's robbery to essentially assume that, well, like, it's not like they don't offer deals.
Yeah.
And I don't know the general pricing in terms of, hold on a second. Let me make sure this argument is sound. So, price of LoL champion in USD, generally speaking. So the average cost in dollars. So the average cost for a champion. Yeah. Okay. So I'm one of those poor souls who cannot afford. Okay.
Doing some calculations.
More than $2. Okay, it's like $5 per champion approximately. $5 isn't bad. But whenever, and I'm also like, it opens up, it kind of like opens up a weird thing too, since it is a strategy game and people can like main certain characters, so you can focus like, oh yeah, so I'll just only play Master Yi, I'll only play Dunk Lord, and we'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
And it allows itself to be like a bit kinder in that sense, because you really only have to focus on your certain character, but it doesn't change the fact that like certain characters are locked behind paywalls and the game isn't fun and it's designed horribly and Riot doesn't listen to its people.
Yeah.
And then that bleeds into what possibly could happen with this. Since Riot is an investor, they have a stake in what happens. But since they aren't the main developer, my hope is that this game gets off its feet, does what Riot Riot does, and Riot essentially gains what they want out of it, and then Hypixel Studios goes private.
Yeah.
They no investors. They run completely on our own money.
Okay.
I'd much rather prefer that.
So I'm gonna
once this is free, leave Riot. Leave Riot.
Okay. So I'm going to give my little opinion on this. So. I never played League, and I never really wanted to, because it never really interested me.
Horrible fucking game. Actual garbage.
But I know about Riot Games and some controversies with them and everything. But the way I see it here is that Riot Games is an investor. They're not the publisher. They're not the developer. They're an investor, which means they do have a say in what happens, but they don't have full control. In fact, they're mostly just like giving them ideas for what they think would be the right thing to do. And the developer doesn't have to follow them, of course. And yes. What I'm thinking is going to happen is, like, for everything I've heard about Simon and Rezis, who are the two like founders of Hypixel, is that they care a lot about making quality things, quality products, quality coding and mini games and servers and games. So they probably pride themselves on making something good. So I don't think exactly. I don't think they'd let Riot Games just ruin their vision for this type of thing. And my hope is that Riot Games is investing and funding this game just so they can get a percentage of the profits from the game, but not so they can influence how the game is made. So if the game still goes as it is normally, but they just get a profit of the earnings and stuff like that in return for being an investor, of course, that's okay, because that means that they haven't impacted the game much other than making some money off it, which is probably what they want to do. Because I think they realize this game is probably going to sell a lot right away. Yes. Of course, the bad side is there's also the worst possible case, which is they add a ton of in-game purchases. You can't access more than, say, one character, maybe, without having to spend real money on more, and you can't access servers without spending money for like a subscription or something like that. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, and once again, that opens up mainly to my issue with Riot Games and how they lock a whole lot of things behind paywalls, and this is an issue especially with Riot Games, where they abide by their rules, which is fine, but they also don't. They don't. So,
yeah.
It's a really, really touchy subject when any like sort of competitively based games like this. Whenever any game that has any form of competition or any form of possible mini game ish to be included in this or to be done this way, because especially in the case of we'll just be honest, in a game like Hytale, where whenever you do play multiplayer, there will be some levels of competition. There will things that like need to be. I'm not sure if they'll be possible, but it'll be funky, because there are things that may or may not be nerfed or may or may not be nerfed, buffed, or patched or whatever.
Yeah.
And while obviously this is something that a server could handle on their own, this doesn't change the fact that games with any sort of competitive mindset the community naturally and almost always will have a different mindset from the game developer. This has different implications, and sometimes this has varying implications based on the game. But like, say for example, you take Street Fighter V, I'll go ahead and because I think this is, I'm not sure, Jonathan, have you ever heard of Moment 37?
Yes.
Okay, so Moment 37. The perfect Chun-Li,
good moment.
Ryu, the perfect Chun-Li Ryu block, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's insane because it's nearly impossible to predict all those sort of things or to do it all perfectly. It's I watched a video and it's I can't excite the exact video, but essentially it's like playing Guitar Hero without seeing the notes.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially that's the equivalent of what he did. He played Guitar Hero without seeing the notes. Now in Street Fighter V, anyone can do that exact same block. You literally just have to spam the forward button, and then you're gonna block every single bit of Chun-Li super with no matter what. So now the skill gap is shortened.
Yeah.
And that randomness is something that's prevalent in a lot of things. Granted, this is a much bigger issue because Street Fighter 2 there wasn't that issue, but in Street Fighter 5 now there is that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And coming into this, it'll just matter on how they handle the game a year and 2 years in. So let's say okay, let's say people are have broken the game to the point where they can essentially just walk around with and then we'll just use Minecraft terminology. But walk around with shulker boxes full of mana potions and essentially just use their fire staff, destroy whatever comes in front of them, and replenish their mana immediately because they're just filled to the brim with splash potions. They just keep on going, and then that bleeds into say for example factions, and once again we're gonna have to get a little bit competitive here, but that becomes the meta.
Yeah.
How does Riot handle that? How do servers handle that? Or more importantly, who handles that in general?
Yeah, we'll see how things go.
Because different companies handle that sort of situation in different ways. Whereas, say for example, the combat update, where a lot of servers maintain the old combat system, some servers didn't. Or say for example, whenever something was happening that the company didn't like, cough cough, vanilla WoW, cough cough. They just outright destroyed it.
Yeah.
And then also there's a possibility of leaving something unbuffed or unpatched, and then you have say for example Fox and Melee, anything to do with Meta Knight in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
Bayonetta, just certain things that because they weren't taken care of in time, now all of a sudden you have a 0 to death combo or have 4 separate recoveries.
Yeah. And that's all the combat stuff and the meta stuff, and that'll be very important for the online servers. But just in general, for in terms of updates, for some reason I have the feeling that they're going to be updating, at least they're going to be updating this way more than Minecraft right now.
Yes.
The thing with
really
yeah, I'm excited about that because the thing about Minecraft is that ever since it was sold to Microsoft, it hasn't been getting updates frequently at all. Very rarely it gets updates. To be fair, that Ocean update was pretty big.
Yeah, the updates are massive, but
it takes a long time for anything to appear. I feel back in the beta era and alpha era of Minecraft, which I wasn't there in alpha exactly, but I've heard about it. They would get updates basically every week, adding something new or something interesting. I feel they're gonna do something similar with Hytale, in order to keep up interest after the game is released, for probably a long time is my guess, because they have it's an indie studio basically. They're a new studio. It's their first game. It's kind of how when Minecraft was first made, it was Mojang was indie. Nowadays they're really large, but they were very small back then, and they wanted to put out more and more updates because they really liked their product and they were really passionate about it. And I'm feeling the same thing here. So I think they're going to be throwing out updates quite often to add more content, and that should keep things interesting. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, which I think will be really good.
Hello, we have an intruder
Philip
in our debate.
But yeah, I mean, once again, and this is mainly focused on the competitive aspect. But outside of that, I feel like it'll just be really interesting to see how this handles too, especially considering. And this once again, this taps into the general fairness and willingness to play at certain levels when it comes to like adventure, when it comes to the adventure aspect of the game. Like, say for example, and once again, this is like a small complaint because you can play Skyrim however you want, but essentially roll spamming.
Yeah.
Like you just level up your sneak incessantly and then just roll spam everywhere. And next thing you know, you're literally invisible to people standing right in front of you.
Okay, so
and whether or not they're willing to patch certain things like that, because obviously you can play around it, but important things that may and more likely than not will become issues in this game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the meta forms and how they deal with it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the end now, like basically finish this off.
Yes.
So out of 10, how would you rate your interest in the game, like excitement level?
I mean, it's a solid 9, honestly. Like not like I feel like I could be more interested if they had revealed more, but at the same time, the fact that they have revealed as much as they did makes it really, really good. Like, they have concept art already out on everything, and the game came out. I mean, like, the announcement was 3 weeks ago, and they're doing a really good job at keeping everyone updated, but it's still really, really smart what they've been.
Yeah, it's very early in development right now, yeah. I mean, not early in development. They've actually been developing the game for about 5 years, I've heard. So,
yeah,
it's pretty late in development, but pretty early after showing it off, so they're slowly going to reveal info.
Yes, which is really good.
Yeah. As for me, clearly I would be at a 10 because, I mean, Minecraft is already a 10 for me. So the only way that this could, like, be really bad is if they really, really mess up, which I don't think is likely. I'm sensing a consistent theme from this game in that Hypixel is very well acquainted with Minecraft. And they know both the good sides, like why people play the game, and the downsides, like the negatives of the game. And what they're planning to do is try and take the good parts of the game and enhance them, and then take the bad parts and remove them or improve them in order to make this like a better version. So if they're able to accomplish that with practically everything from servers to minigames to the adventure to all that type of stuff, then I feel like this game will be a super fun game for me to get like maybe thousands of hours of enjoyment, because that's what Minecraft gave. Like, if this has the amount of replayability, something that Minecraft has with custom maps and with mods and servers and all that stuff, then I think I'll get the most bang for the buck of any game this year, assuming it comes out this year.
Yes, and once again, that's mainly just sort of how that entire situation will be handled. Granted, it'll probably be like the next big. It'll probably restore Minecraft back to its former status, at least on YouTube. And it'll just be generally massive.
Oh, this game will be huge on like the online presence, you know, forums, YouTube, social media, that type of stuff. At least I'm hoping it will be. Look at us milking it. Anyway.
But regardless, it doesn't change the fact that we're still excited for it. So.
Okay, so quick prediction time, Tristan. When do you think that this game would come out?
I have it set for September.
September, okay.
Enough, but like it's like I'd say like there's still a lot that probably needs to be refined just within the actual company itself. So like you could push that like September, maybe even November. Could be even a Christmas time release, just because of the way they get.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be too like, oh yeah, it'll come out tomorrow, but like, oh yeah, it'll come out like in 8 to 10 ish.
It'll come out within the next hour. Okay,
it does, but I mean, hey, still, it doesn't change the fact that we're getting really close to the precipice of this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my prediction in the 10 things you need to know was Q2 2019, but I'm going to go ahead and refine that to a month, and I'm going to go straight up, like, I'm going way earlier than you are. I'm saying May 2019.
Alright, that's fair.
Because the way I see it, they've been developing this game for 5 years. They would only show it off if they feel like they're close to a state where they can at least release the beta. And also, this is the type of game that people who like grew up on Minecraft and that type of stuff would play, or a lot of the kids who play Minecraft now would play.
Exactly.
And a lot of them are either in college or in school, so if they release it in May, then people will have the whole summer to play through this type of game.
Oh yeah, it would be a brilliant release cycle. Or it would be brilliant, especially like just general.
They wouldn't have much competition because a lot of the big games release at the end of the year, like November, September, that type of time. Summer is sort of a sleeper time, So if this game released at the beginning, it'll be a good pastime for practically an entire summer based off the creativity and options in the game. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, okay, in that case, I respect that opinion.
Yeah, and we'll see. I just wanna get like a preliminary guess so we can see who is closer, you know.
Yeah, that'll be fair. I just don't want to be like super, I guess, like or super like hungry for it. Just I don't get like, you know.
I don't want them to release the game too early, like whenever it's not like ready yet, and whenever they don't have enough features yet for it to be interesting. And I don't want to get too like hyped for it to come out right away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to keep the anticipation rising as time goes on, which I think they're gonna kind of do. They're gonna do kind of the Smash thing and sort of throw out updates here and there every once in a while, in order to keep up hype.
Yeah. Bring back the dojo.
Yeah. But I guess that's basically it for now. Like whenever there's
it really is.
Yeah, whenever they reveal more info and things like that, we can maybe get like Zach in here or someone else or just us again and talk about new stuff. This went on pretty long though.
I mean, honestly, you can split this up. Regardless, I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it, and I hope all of you guys are too. So
yeah, it'll be a good time. It's been Wholesome Hawk.
It's been a good discussion.
Signing it off.
What's up, guys? Wholesome Hawk here. Oh.